Oh, listen to that.
Sounds so good.
Guys, it's so much better in the studio.
It sounds so good.
I mean, I like Skype and all, but this is ridiculous.
That sound is phenomenal.
I know.
Guys,
We're just going to talk about that.
we are back in the studio for the first time in a solid 3.5 months.
Since the middle of March.
And it is fantastic. Having these headphones on, surround sound, being able to drink with your buddy, have some incense going, enjoying the environment. It's so much more personable.
We have a clearer camera.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can tell.
A little upgrade. We're going with the Sony. We're going with the Sony today.
Yeah. Sony A5100.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. Sony A5100. That's what I meant to say. Yeah.
I like how it's kind of like leaning towards you, since we probably bumped it before we came over here.
Probably.
Which I'm okay with.
So, guys, welcome back to the studio.
Yes.
So glad to have
Studio
you guys
2.
here listening with us. Studio 2. Studio 2. Studio 2.
Studio 2.5 is
Skype.
Skype.
Right. Correct.
Or VR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So we aren't going to officially do it this week, but when it's Jordan and I talking, we decided we're going to start breaking things up into subjects for you guys. So we're going to start laying down like, okay, we're going to be having a science section, a health section, and then a world politics section or something along those lines.
Yeah, which my wife has often said she likes it when you go off about health stuff and when I nerd out about tech stuff, because we just get really into it.
Get a little crazy.
Yeah, which we actually kind of have a little bit of both of those today.
Yeah, we sure do.
So
yeah,
which I like.
I'm excited to go into some of that stuff.
Yeah.
So there's guys, 2020. It is insane the amount of
what
subjects.
happened?
The amount of subjects that are endless to talk about.
And how many of them do this?
Yeah, how many intertwining subjects?
It's like, hey, how could we convince the world that COVID's not as bad as it was? Let's start a bunch of riots and get the numbers up again.
Right. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, what are we doing? Like, not that I'm not for a good cause. I'm not against anything. Dude, it's just like, it's just
the overwhelming amount of conspiracy theories that are taking place right now.
Yeah,
surrounding everything as far as COVID goes, protests goes, China, North Korea, Chaz.
Whatever happened to the murder hornets, though?
The murder hornets.
That is proof.
Maybe
that is proof that someone is time traveling, screwing up the timeline. They got rid of the murder hornets, but at what cost?
At what cost?
maybe. Like they're like,
maybe that's what caused this whole.
Hands are clean.
Yeah.
I cleaned up the murder hornets. And you're like, yes, but
now the world is in racial wars.
We have a racial war. There's 41,000 cases in a day in the U.S.
Texas is meltdown.
Yeah, what's going on?
Seriously,
who knows?
Well, going back to the protests and Chaz a little bit, which actually now they don't want to be called Chaz anymore.
Yeah,
they changed it.
I actually didn't realize it was because it was Capitol Hill something zone, like autonomous zone.
Yeah, no. So it used to be the autonomous zone, right?
Well, that's where the name Chaz came from. Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone.
Yes, but then they asked for it to be changed.
I just learned that today.
We'll unlearn it because now it's Capitol Hill Organized Protest, and some
CHOP?
of them, CHOP.
Okay, guys,
some of them are calling it
sound better.
CHOP, or it's either Capitol Hill Organized Protest or Capitol Hill Occupied Protest. So they want it to sound more official.
Capitol Hill Organized Occupied Protest, so it's just Choop
Zone. Choop Zone.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Give it a shot.
We should trademark that so they can't use it. They could buy it from us.
They could buy it from us. Yeah, we'll license it to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll license
because they're making tons of money, you know.
Well, yeah, of course.
So,
yeah.
Chaz or Chop. Guys, it's a really interesting situation that's going on.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this today. Okay?
Yeah. If people don't know what Chaz is, in a sentence or two, how would you describe that?
It is a occupied zone in Seattle where a group of blocks basically have been taken over by protesters, and they are kind of running those certain city blocks and prohibiting law enforcement from coming into the blocks, into the areas, and then also kind of setting up their own micro government within this small quarantine zone, basically. And it's the theory is, and what they wanted to, the goal from what I've heard, and some of them is kind of a multiple kind of goals.
I'm just checking our
but
sound. I'm listening.
yeah. But I'm trying to think about the best way of saying it. Basically, it is a zone where they want peace, where they're saying we want to show how it can be done right. We want to show, and we want to prevent threats from outside law enforcement from coming in, and we want to make a stand, basically.
Yeah. Which, regardless of like how you feel about that, there was an article that I saw this week or it was last week, because we had some delays and didn't end up meeting up last week, that showed that it was confirmed, and Fox News admitted that they aired and had a collage of photos that were doctored about chess, showing like a man running past a burning building, and then a guy, an armed guard with a mask on. They didn't. That's the thing.
But I mean, like, it's not like.
No, how did they think they were going to get away with it? So people like went on to like Getty Images and like date stamped the pictures that they had plopped together.
Oh my god!
They're like, yeah, that's a building in Chaz, but also that was in June
2016.
That was June 10th,
yeah,
or like March something or other, like before this even happened. And that dude that's in front of it, that's the armed guard, is like not even from this year. Like it's from a different time, and you just photoshopped him over. They admitted it, and it's just like, well, so what's the point of that? Like, what are you trying to? You don't like the idea so much that you're willing to like make something up about it, or?
Well, it reinforces this kind of stereotype that people have perceived about, Fox News and conservative media, right? So it reinforces,
which you would think that they wouldn't want,
right?
Because I think to a lot of degree, a lot of the stuff that's said isn't what people say, but there's enough stories that do that.
Right.
That give people pause to even listen to them, myself included. Like,
yeah, 100%.
It's like,
100%.
But here's the thing. Also, any news channel that I watch, if I were to like actually care about what it was, I would do my own digging to figure out if what they're saying is true.
Well, and
regardless of who it is.
And I've heard a lot of people's opinions on this type of protest.
I just got brain freeze.
Also, a big shout out to my spouse for making us delicious margaritas. Thanks, boo boo.
It's a little cold on the bottom.
A little cold. That tequila's gonna hit us pretty soon, guys. Yeah. So just look out.
So if like all of a sudden we're not talking about tech, COVID, or anything else, and we're just giggling a lot,
that might be why.
Thanks, Annie.
So here's kind of my thoughts about it a little bit, about this organized protest in this area. I've heard people say, this is why is the government allowing basically militia to take over part of a sovereign state? Why are we allowing that to happen in our country? It's like almost like a mini Civil War act kind of thing. And I was thinking about that, and I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, that I understand that concern, but this is coming from a group of individuals that have felt that their concerns and their voices haven't been heard, and they don't know another way of getting their message across. And some of those people, true, are just taking advantage of the situation. 100% admit that.
That happens in everything.
That happens in everything. But there are, it's undeniable, there's a group of individuals that feel that way. So I was thinking about, well, our country and how amazing it is that we have the freedom of speech and we have the ability to have protests like this and not worry that we're going to get mowed down by the military. Like if it was in, maybe more of a kind of strict country such as Russia or China, right? You're not going to have another, was it Tiananmen Square, right? I might have said that wrong, but you're not going to have another situation where tanks, typically it's not expected that tanks are going to go run through Seattle and run over people and shoot them and kill them all.
The only concern that I would have, and I think that the city, not only the city of Seattle and the state of Washington, should be a little bit concerned in of themselves, because they have kind of put their stamp of approval on this and said that they're not going to do anything, where they could be legally liably held for some of the things that may or may not happen because of this.
I mean, I guess so, but the people are not acknowledging law enforcement, and they're not acknowledging other states.
Yes, except
that are if ruling the area.
If the state wanted to, they could shut this down. It wouldn't look pretty, and I'm not saying that I want it to happen.
Yeah, but they could cut electricity and water off.
But
that would be huge.
But think of the businesses that are down there. If they're not on
board
the
businesses are suing the city. The
Yes.
businesses that are down
And
there,
I think
are
that they
suing the
will
city.
win. I think that
so.
they will, and they will
Probably.
the city will have to end up paying.
But anyways, getting back to the whole thought process here was, I love the fact that we have a country where we can have this degree of protest and be able to get our message across. And the majority of the time, you're not concerned about getting killed by the government, right?
Right. It is pretty amazing that they're not being hurt right now.
It's incredible. But then I was thinking about, okay, well, that's amazing that we have this freedom, and how incredible this country is, that it's been so amazing for so many people, and that's why it's prospered to such a degree, I think, because of the ability to have that type of freedom in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was thinking about, kind of on the other spectrum, it hasn't really been that good for all people.
Yeah.
And that it leads to what some of these protests are about.
Yeah.
Like leading to the fact that, African Americans did not have this, even though legally the Constitution may have said they had the rights, they didn't. There was
Or they weren't being treated.
They weren't being treated fairly. There was obvious suppression of their rights, and ability to buy property, ability to have the same education, the same financial institution privileges, bank loans, all this sort of stuff. There was just this massive amount of prejudice. And so they haven't had that same great history that we have.
Right.
And so it makes sense why, and it's really only been over the past maybe 20 years, 40 years maybe, that they've had even the breakaway from the past prejudice. And
right.
So it makes sense that there is this still close, sensitivity and quick protest to take place. So I understand, and I have that kind of helped me to empathize a lot with some of the degree of in protests because of the injustices, I think. And so seeing things like this, if this situation in Chaz leads to an automatic change in the way that we approach race and heightened sensitivities
Mm-hmm.
to our subconscious prejudice and racial tendencies, then I think good, if that's what it takes. But
yeah, I guess I feel for some of those businesses and stuff that might be suffering because of it, because they're maybe they're not on board with what's going on for obvious reasons, not maybe because they don't feel like there needs to be racial equality, but they have a business that's being affected.
Absolutely. No, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And that's not. And then you got the whole thing. It's like, yeah, that sucks for those businesses. It's not fair for those businesses.
Because they're in a city that they're paying taxes into to be protected and to have also the freedoms that they do.
Have all those historical
yes, but not in that spot
biased
paying the taxes
racial
on that spot.
Profiling,
because they're paying a different tax for that location. Like, they can't just up and move. Those people could do it somewhere else.
But it wouldn't have the same effect. It wouldn't if they did it in an open field.
Right, but I'm saying it's affecting those businesses in that spot.
Oh yeah.
They can't.
There's no doubt about that. It's no doubt. It's shitty. It's a shitty situation for those businesses. Right. Undoubtedly. Not only are they dealing with COVID and the decreased possible revenue from that,
right.
They're dealing with their businesses getting raided perhaps, or
right.
Nobody wants to come visit them. But also I was thinking about this. Maybe some of those businesses are having higher revenue because people are in that area, like restaurants.
I think we would maybe hear about that.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I guess I haven't. That's the other thing. Like, I haven't been in that area. And all we hear is, crooked news from both sides giving their own biased
and I've talked to people that have been down there, and they haven't had anything bad to say. Although they would say that like they wouldn't go at night.
Yeah.
Like, they go during the day and it's peaceful and interesting to see and whatever. And it's, I know that there's been people from my brother's church that have gone down there just to talk to people and whatnot, and just be a part of it.
Yeah. So. I would like to go see what the situation is like. Maybe that'd be an interesting little journey we should take. We'll see. So yeah, Chaz, that's what it is in kind of a little bit of a nutshell for you guys if you're interested in that. Wanted to kind of broach that subject.
Yeah. With that, like, all these protests going on, we now have, like, what they're claiming to be, like, record numbers of infections in a day in the United States. Like this last week we topped a day that was like over 41,000. What are your thoughts on that? Because before you answer, I will say, like from looking in on it, having, the only health world I know is like books I read and research that I do. I would assume cases would go up as testing goes up. I mean, at least to some degree. At least a percentage of it could be because of that. Because in the beginning, you couldn't get a test. Like you
couldn't get a test.
You'd have to be nearly dead to get tested.
Yeah, you had to be admitted to the hospital.
And so for them to say, it's not actually the amount of tests that's causing it to rise, it's like, well, I don't, have a full stats major, but if you weren't testing before and now you are.
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of a gray area, that question, or the answer to that, because we still have a limited capacity for testing right now. It's still not super easy for someone to get tested in the United States in all locations.
Right.
So, yes, the testing has increased, but not to the amount that I think it's causing that large of a swing.
Gotcha.
In positive cases. I think in majority of situations in the United States, you have to be symptomatic to have.
So not all
to be able
states
to,
are like Oregon, where it's basically like,
right,
if you feel like you need to,
There's a lot of places where you have to be symptomatic still to get tested. And so because of that would suggest that a lot of these people are testing positive because they're having symptoms, not because they're just randomly
along the same lines. That makes sense.
Asymptomatic carriers. So yeah, I it sounds kind of strange, but as we all kind of suspect, majority of the population, I believe, will at some point have COVID, right?
Right.
And so we did a really good job of having, let me rephrase that. When we first started this podcast and started broaching the subject of COVID,
yes,
right?
Yep.
I said right off the bat,
I thought you were crazy.
I said right off the bat, we need to lock down the entire country for like 6 weeks.
Yeah. Well, you said just 2 weeks because they said 14 days. You said if we could all just stay home
at least
14 days.
Yeah, I think
maybe you tacked 1 week on there for safety.
Yeah, I think for at least 3 weeks. Okay, yeah. If the entire country could have just had 100% hardcore lockdown,
yeah,
I think almost, and probably it would have needed to been,
which we proved
more than 3 weeks.
When we tried to even mention that people bought way too much toilet paper and had not enough food at home.
Yeah, so it would have needed to then had that situation. It would have been. They would have instigated, because at first they didn't lock down the toilet paper at first. At first they just take as much as you want. There wasn't the one per person per purchase. That's
because no one thought in their right mind that people would buy that much toilet paper.
So
like,
dumb.
Why are you guys... Okay, but... Never mind. I'm not going to go into that. It's too much of a
but getting back to it.
People are crazy.
I think that... I wish that we could have had a hardcore, stringent lockdown right at the bat, and I think we would have mitigated and caused... and potentially prevented this from even being a reoccurring issue in the United States, like the EU has done. The EU is having declining numbers thus far. They're in a really good spot, and even the EU is considering preventing flights from the U.S. to the EU right now.
Yeah,
because the U.S. did.
Rome opened back up, but
a shitty job.
U.S. citizens can't go there.
Yeah, and there's people that were protesting the lockdowns. There's people that are still protesting, wearing masks, and so. In my view, right now, I think it's kind of we're past the point.
Do you feel like you're
lockdowns.
Like working while shopping now? Like because you're used to wearing a mask.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So I think if we would have had a really stringent lockdown right off the bat, that's what I would have wanted.
Yeah.
But I think we're past that point now with the cat's out of the bag. Mm-hmm. So in my head, I do think there is value in having. I do think there's value in wearing masks for the majority of the population together. I think together that will help slow the potential amount of people becoming symptomatic. However,
what do you say to all these articles though that
additional
say
lockdown's going to help?
Wearing masks doesn't work. Doesn't help.
So
in one word. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh God. Masks do help.
Yeah.
They don't completely prevent the spread of the virus by any means.
Yeah.
But if you're in a room next to somebody and they cough, I mean, there's just simple physics. You cough into something, it's going to decrease the amount of spread of the virus. So it's helpful. It's not 100% the answer, but it helps.
So why now and not with just the flu? Like why are we just now doing masks? But
because the flu was in general had more treatment options, right? We have antiviral medications, several different antiviral medications that can decrease the severity and the duration of it.
Right.
We don't have any proven treatment for this right now, as
Right.
far as pill goes.
Well, the hydroxychloroquine.
And we had hydroxychloroquine. And we had the vaccine for the flu. So we had a vaccine, we had treatments,
Right.
and then we had kind of proven ways of treating it when they're in the hospital as well.
Right.
So right now with COVID, we have kind of one-ish of those three components.
Right.
We have the way of treating people pretty effectively in the hospital now. We've got that pretty.
Is the flu
effective.
transmitted less through coughing though? Like, I mean, it can be through any contact, but like,
honestly, I'm not 100% sure
like
as far as
less
the
respiratory than COVID.
No,
Because I know like
it's-
COVID's
they're
pretty respiratory.
Yeah, I mean, it's still fairly a droplet kind of precaution with
Yeah.
the flu, but I'm not sure if it has the same longevity after it's outside of the body.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure, because the thing with COVID too, it's still kind of, they don't know exactly how long this is lasting.
Yeah.
But the great news is that they are saying it does seem like the ultraviolet is really effective with killing,
Oh, cool.
decreasing the duration of the virus.
So just
So being outside with it is a potential safer way of interacting with groups.
which is why most states, if you're outside the numbers that can gather, are larger.
Right. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I hope that the fall isn't that bad, but really I think the summertime, if you're planning to do anything, or if you're planning on having any activities, plan on getting it done this summer, or
Yeah.
because I think late fall is going to start to get pretty rough, potentially.
Locking down again.
Yeah. That would be my wager.
Super lame.
Yeah.
I don't like that idea.
And most of my wagers, I feel like have been pretty accurate so far.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to be, but they have been. I wish they were less accurate. Could you work
No,
on
with
that?
with these
Yeah.
specifically.
How about you just make different wagers? Seems like a better idea.
Dude, you want to talk about a wager? Okay.
Oof.
What the heck do you think's going on in North Korea right now?
I don't know. I know they blew up that building between them or something that didn't have any people in, but represented a lot of their relationships or something.
Yeah. Like,
Was that a good description?
on the DM zone?
They were just
between
like
North Korea and South Korea.
didn't hurt anybody. I don't think.
Without notice, without any type of heads up warning, they had placed explosives inside of their building to basically kind of implode.
There was no one in it, right?
Not that I know of.
That's what I had read. That there wasn't anyone in it. It was just a sign of like
We are not going to have
we don't
relation.
like you, which they already knew.
Right.
Like,
no,
but it's just like we're not going to talk anymore. Like this breakup's for sure.
The confusing thing is that, yeah, they had this building that exploded, but then there's also kind of this mystery going around: is Kim Jong-un alive right now?
I thought that they discovered that he is alive again.
Has that been verified?
I don't know.
Because
He hasn't called. He hasn't returned any of my texts.
he hasn't talked to you. Well, we should ask Dennis Rodman, because only Dennis Rodman would really know, right? Right?
I guess.
I don't know. But Kim Jong-un's sister, right? She has been the one that's been kind of at the forefront. Her name's Sung Yoon Lee.
Right. She would be
Or no, not Sung Yoon Lee.
the heiress to the country or throne or whatever.
Yeah. Kim Yo-young is the younger sister. Is a sister. Yeah. So there's been kind of this suspicion that she's been running everything while her brother has been sick. But then there's this rumor that maybe he's actually out and healthy. And then he told her, this is rumor, to de-escalate.
He doesn't look like a healthy dude.
He looks like he's eaten every meal at least 3 to 4 maple bars. He looks like he's a donut fiend. He looks like he hunts down daylight donuts.
He does have like soft looking skin. I will say that.
He's got great skin.
Yeah.
Well, he probably bathes in the oil of his oppressed population or something like that.
It's true. Yeah. Just baby oil.
Just babies.
Not baby's oil. I said baby oil. It's totally different.
Okay. Totally different situation there.
Speaking of crazy countries and things that they do and companies that go along with it, did you hear? Okay, so Zoom's been in some hot water with their security and all that kind of stuff. But recently, they shut down a few different accounts of people at the request of China.
Zoom shut down accounts?
Yes, and they requested multiple accounts to be shut down based on pro-democracy for China. Some of them being
Scandal.
accounts that were based in the U.S. So some of them came from China, which they're not supposed to connect to Zoom anyway. It's an illegal communication and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how tangled I am in that. But the U.S. one has been reinstated, and Zoom has said going forward, we're changing our policies. We're not going to be shutting down any accounts except for ones that we can deem we're connecting from countries where it's illegal to use our service.
Dude.
Which makes sense. I mean, I get that. Like, as much as that sucks, that person does live in that country, whether they can control it or not. If it's illegal and the country has control over it and they need to shut the account down, Zoom doesn't want to be in fights with China. But they shouldn't be shutting down U.S. accounts at all for China, regardless of what people say about China. Because I will say right now, and they can come shut us down if they want, not that they're going to hear it, I think there should be democracy in China. I think it's a load of crap.
Well, and
they treat their people like crap.
That's what Hong Kong has been pushing for, right? Hong Kong has been like having these giant protests,
and they were like shutting down like video games, making them illegal to play because people were doing pro democracy in like Animal Crossing for Nintendo Switch. And there were games like Minecraft where people putting libraries in there that were open so that people could come and read stuff there that was illegal literature in those countries. And they're trying to shut down video games because it promotes education and knowledge about democracy.
So let me go on that main line. Okay. This is something that Jordan Peterson is a avid kind of proponent of as well.
What?
I feel like I have a concern in the United States. Cheers. I have a concern in the United States that there is being a little bit excessive censorship on both extremes, on conservative and on liberal extremes.
Yeah,
and it makes me nervous
that got blocked
seeing
on Twitter?
that.
My wife was telling me today.
It makes me nervous seeing that in the same respect of like China or like a socialist or Marxist like state. So, for example, like prohibiting like Twitter taking down or other accounts taking down an individual for saying okay, why don't you just become a coder or something like that? Like that was like a racist term.
Or the guy Zuby that we talked about that broke the woman's world record deadlift
by saying "okay, man."
He said "okay, dude."
Okay, dude.
To a guy who was bullying and pushing him, and this guy I believe was like identified transgender.
Yeah,
and he had said to him, "I bet I sleep with more women than you do," as a dig, and he replied, "Okay, dude," and got bopped off Twitter. He's
so
back.
It scares me
after
a little
making
bit
fun of them quite a bit.
Seeing the power of social media giants and search engines like Google and all these media companies having so much power to take away the freedom of an individual's speech, right? And even in the degree of like whether it's a liberal individual that's saying protesting some type of religious activity, or whether it's a conservative person that's protesting some type of
lifestyle that they don't agree with.
Like I
let people dig their own graves.
Right. That's let the population and let them the people around them make the decision.
Or at the very least, like if the company, like if Twitter or Facebook or whatever is concerned that someone might think that for some reason that Joe Schmo that says something about someone else or someone else's lifestyle or their beliefs doesn't agree with what Facebook's beliefs are, which who cares what Facebook's beliefs are? If they even put a tag that said this is not the position of Facebook, like below it or something, I don't care.
Right.
Just don't remove it. But I think we all know when we're on Facebook that Facebook doesn't agree with everything we agree with.
Right. Well, I was listening to this podcast with Brett Weinstein and Jordan Peterson, and they were kind of debating back and forth and talking. And there's a movement going on right now to make basically being a biologist almost synonymous with being sexist or
because you agree with sex, like sexes?
Because you, as a biologist, you have to understand science, and you have to understand genomes and chromosomes, and you have to understand this person as a biologist. You have to identify they are chromosomally a male, they are chromosomally a female. But by identifying that person as such, you are then being sexist, or you're being whatever. You're
being
not being
genomist.
Yeah, you're.
That's so.
You're
people are
choosing
trying to get rid of
science
facts
over. You're choosing science over emotional preference.
Here's the thing.
You know? And
if you're genetically something, that shouldn't bother you. It doesn't bother me what you want to think you are, but if you're genetically something, that's a fact. Like it's.
Yeah, I think that it gets squirrely when we start to try to change facts.
Yes.
Like I think there's morals.
It's one thing for me to bully someone for what they want to identify as.
Yeah.
It's another for someone to say, biologically, you are female. Like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I don't think you have to rub it in their face, or I don't think you have to continue. But
that's what I'm saying.
But I don't think you have to lie about that.
Yeah.
So that's that. I'm a little bit concerned that
it's like I could identify as a giraffe, but there's no way you can prove that factually.
Right. Yeah, totally. So all that to be said, like I'm concerned about the movement of people saying you can't say that.
Yeah.
And that going on both extremes.
Yeah.
So and that going back to China, and then that going back to being in a state of being controlled and being in a fear, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm very cautious of that.
Well, it's the same idea as like people upset that people don't agree with their beliefs. It's like, okay, this is, we do live in a free country, and regardless if you're in a free country or not, human beings have opinions, and they may not line up with yours, and that's okay. Like it's super okay.
Totally.
If they're bullying you, don't be around them. Like, that's the thing. That's why I would say, like, on social media, let people dig their own graves. Like, people block and they unfollow people all the time because they don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, that's what I really like about this type of.
I don't do that at all because I like to watch from a distance and lurk.
But what I really like about this type of platform is that we don't have anyone controlling what we do and don't say. Like, reality, we can talk to each other and tell
YouTube
each other
does
truth.
a little bit, but like. To the end.
Well, but YouTube isn't our only platform.
Right, that's true.
Right? I mean, we have multiple platforms that we can go out on.
Yeah.
So
internet.
I feel like that's important. That's an important freedom of speech option out there.
Right.
So I don't know what tangent else I was.
I don't know how we got there.
Yeah, we got there.
Yeah.
But we got there.
Yeah.
That's what's important. So yeah.
I think the big deal here is for us to realize not everyone's going to agree, and guess what, guys? That actually can be really fun.
Yeah.
You don't have to be mean about it.
But what's also important, especially religiously, and socially, and politically, all those. I would encourage anybody out there listening this week to go pursue somebody that has dramatically different views, whether it's religiously, and try to become their friend. Try to see if you can find a common bond with them. And see what type of relationship that spurs, because that might be a domino effect, and they may do the same thing, and then the other people may do the same thing. Like, I really encourage that type of. Jordan and I have dramatic different views on a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But that ability to lay aside that prejudice that you may, or your personal comfort in those areas.
And have a safe place to discuss those things and like talk about them, and maybe leave and be like, we don't agree yet. Or ever. Like it doesn't, unless it's like a life or death thing, like it doesn't have to be the end of the world, and you could learn something.
Yeah.
And maybe someday you will agree, and maybe you will be the wrong one, or maybe they will be the wrong one, or maybe you'll both be the wrong one.
Right. Look at us getting all preachy to you guys.
But you'll never find
getting
out.
All preachy. You guys are like, okay, move on to the subject. Like, we're getting too preachy.
Yeah. If you don't do that, though, you are living in an echo chamber. Just listening to yourself.
The other hot topic I wanted to throw at you guys this week: Washington, the District of Columbia, right, was voting. They voted in the House, I believe, or the Senate. They passed though in one of the chambers.
This is Washington State.
No, to make Washington D.C. a state.
What?
Yep,
it
passed.
Know that.
So it's going on to the next step. So Washington. I can't remember the name of it, but they want to call it. Something district.
Well, it's so funny because
so
they like
51
they like have like a legal medical marijuana plan there, but they're because they're not a state, they fall under federal law, which federal law says that it's not a medication, but yet they do have a medical marijuana program there. It makes no sense. It's like this super weird conundrum of law.
It's so stupid.
It's like I bet there's a bunch of stuff like that They need to become a state to have
ratify all that.
Their own
but then
things.
Washington where did you say Washington City was printing like wooden?
I think
money
Tonino or
something?
Torino or something like that. They're doing their own thing where if people are in need during this time of lost their job or whatever, they print their own money on wood. Like, we'll post a link to this, but you can go see pictures of it. It's wooden money. It's their own. It's only accepted at certain stores throughout the town. And they give out up to $300 a month to help families in need during this crisis. They've done it one time other in history that I could find. And it's pretty cool. Like, that just as a city, they're doing it for their people.
So that's historically already happened where a city is printed.
Just this one. This one's done it. The city's done it before.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's
that I
great.
could find. I might be wrong on that. But it's like this wooden, like, it's not square. It's a little rectangular. Kind of looks like a flag, but like,
Okay.
and it said they come in like $25 increments, and it's printed on wooden money. There's a guy that has a wooden money store that prints it for the city.
Interesting. That's interesting.
And then the businesses can cash it, can turn it back into real fiat money, like real money
somehow from the city.
At a bank. So the banks in the city participate in the program, and so that they're actually minted, like essentially like they're backed by the city money.
Because it would be interesting if somebody was like, well, I have a saw and I have wood, so
Right,
let me
yeah.
just make my own money in the backyard here. This is great.
I would assume it's a little harder to do than that. Like,
yeah, maybe.
they look pretty legit though.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Huh.
Our buddy Bill, who made these buttons and stuff like that, he was heading up to that city. He said, "I'm gonna get some wooden money."
Oh, no kidding?
Yeah, he
Very
wants to
cool.
find some.
Nice.
And buy
Right
some.
on. That'd be pretty sweet. Go
Yeah.
for it, Bill. Go get some wood money, buddy.
Wooden money.
Get some wooden money.
So yeah,
Dude,
I think that'd be cool.
You got anything else this week?
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of like political things and Twitter and all that kind of stuff, another tech thing that I saw this week, I think would be great. I think that Facebook should do this. I think everybody should do this. I think it should go a step beyond, and I'll explain what Twitter is doing. Twitter is essentially trying to mitigate people reposting or posting links to articles that they have not read. So, you see this on Facebook.
How would they do that, though?
So I think it's because it knows from their history whether or not they clicked on the link to actually go read it. So it's kind of subjective in the sense that somebody could have clicked on it, read the title, and backed out, and Twitter would still think that they read it.
Yeah.
But it's checking whether or not they actually went to the link. So, but they did. The title to the story and the link that we'll post is a little bit misleading. Twitter is not going to keep people from posting things that they have not clicked on and read. They will, if they register that you have not gone to that website, they will simply ask the question, "Are you sure that you want to post this? We see that you haven't read it."
Oh, interesting. Really?
Which I think will work better.
That's fascinating.
Anyway, I think everyone should do this. And I think also, I was thinking about this on the way over here. I think that Facebook should do this for anybody who tries to reply to somebody's post about the comment about the article. Because I don't know how many times I've gone and just like lurked and looked at someone who posted a stupid article that clearly they hadn't read because it's got all these bum ads and everything. And there's like, it's not really from anyone reputable. But the people commenting aren't even talking about the things that are in the article because I actually went and read it and saw the BS that it was saying. Like, I think that Facebook should also take this into account and ask, "Are you sure you want to reply to this? We see that you haven't gone to it yet."
I've never posted anything, a link that I haven't read. And
Me either.
But I can't imagine the thought process of doing that. Because I would be concerned that I'm
echo
saying
chambers
something.
is what it is. When someone does that, it's because the headline says something that they
like the headline.
emphatically agree with.
Yeah.
And they post it. And you know what it is? It's
Man.
clickbait, guys. All it is getting ad revenue for people.
Right.
That's what it's doing.
Oh, man.
They wrote a headline that they knew that you would agree with.
Just gross.
So that you would post it without reading, and they're going to fill it with ads so that every person that clicks on it, if they do,
Gross.
gets them ads.
Yeah, I agree, though. That's cool. I think that's a cool maneuver for
I do too.
Twitter and hopefully the other social media platforms kind of
Yeah.
follow suit, right?
So the only other, there's a couple other, there's a petition underway to rename Columbus, Ohio, Flavortown. Because they're tearing down the Columbus
guys.
statues.
Speaking of renaming, This is kind of a hot topic for people out there. I know it's kind of a sensitive subject, but people are a little upset about the whole Civil War thing.
Oh, in Oregon?
Yep. So they have the University
was a thing. It doesn't matter what.
University of Oregon and I guess OSU.
Well, clearly the Beavers need to change their name because they're the South.
Yeah. Well, no. So they decided that we're gonna whatever the board was, they're gonna stop calling it the Civil War now.
What?
Because it has too much racial connotation.
See, that's the thing is like Civil War isn't just us.
Right. It's not sold.
It would be one thing if they called it the Confederate War.
Right.
Or they called it the War of Slavery.
Oh, gosh,
but they don't.
So
Civil War is war within like this.
And if anything,
like it's saying like our communities are warring, and in a sense they are.
But also like in a way, it's also like there was good to it too, right? Like there was, it was. Even though historically there's kind of controversy whether it was actually about
only for
slavery
that one Civil War. That's the thing. Like our Civil War, yes, but there's tons of things that are called a Civil War. It's not just it's just not the Ducks and the Beavers.
Yeah,
I think that's a bit ridiculous.
I think it's a bit stretching and maybe creating a little bit of what I mentioned
that's what I'm saying.
earlier.
Like if they had
too
like
much of a
Confederate flags and all that kind of stuff,
too much of social justice, conservation.
Yeah, it's putting mattresses on everything is what it's doing.
Well, but I think it's sending the wrong message. Like it's saying you should be afraid of this when that is not truly what the focus of fear should be.
Exactly. Yeah, it has nothing to do with that. Civil War is a term, and be like, well, orange now is a really bad term, so we're gonna rename them. No, what are you gonna call it? We should call it War of the Worlds.
Oh, did you know that the color orange did not exist? Like the word for the color of orange. This is a TIL, guys. This is one that I've learned like
we're jumping to those
ago.
already.
The color orange didn't like saying, "Oh, that's the color orange," did not exist before I can't remember who it was, discovered the fruit and learned from the natives that it was the name for it sounded like orange.
Oh.
And then they started calling
so
everything
chicken
that looked
or egg,
like that color.
in this
orange.
case,
it was like they would call it like off yellow, or they would say like dark yellow or something like that. Yeah,
weird.
Isn't that wild?
So one other political thing, and then I do have some TILs, and we could jump into that, and we could say goodnight and all that kind of stuff. This video I watched, I don't even know how to describe what this guy looked like, except to say he wasn't the most classy individual. Like I don't want to offend anyone. But he was running for office in where was it at? In Kentucky, city commission candidate in Kentucky. I don't remember what city now. We'll post a link to it. And they're having these Zoom debates, right? And they're going back and forth. No, I have no idea where it's at. It's like an hour long. And I found it one night, like the spot where he does this. But the dude has no teeth in a lot of places. Like he has some of them left. He clearly
some of them ran away.
He's not up to the same caliber as some of the other candidates, and the moderator did a great job not laughing, but it was pretty hysterical. It looked a little bit like it was staged, but it was not.
Oh my gosh! Like
and
Joe
this
Dirt
dude at one point lights a pipe on the Zoom call, and he's like, "I'm pro marijuana. We need to bring it in. We need to make it legal. Lots of other states have.
God bless America." That's hilarious.
And it goes back to the moderator, and she's like, and starts giggling and goes on. Like they didn't stop it, they didn't cut it off, they let it run. They're like,
well,
whatever.
Kentucky's a conservative state. I don't think they have legal cannabis there.
They don't.
Yeah.
But he was totally lighting up on Zoom. Oh my gosh! Like,
that's funny.
Yeah, if you want a good entertaining time, I think it was around the 43-minute mark that I found that he actually did it. It's pretty easy.
That's funny. You listened to it for that long.
I didn't. I skipped through to all the videos that had him in it until I finally saw him with a pipe.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And yeah, he did say, he goes, "Don't worry about me. When I win this, I'm only in it for 2 years because I'm going for senator." Like, okay, dude.
Guy's going big. I like it. That's good. All right, dude. Hit me with your TILs, buddy.
Okay, so I have two of them.
Okay.
Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Super Mario Brothers franchise, considers the characters to be actors playing different roles in each game. Hence why Bowser will be kidnapping the princess in one appearance and playing sports with Mario in another.
What?
So it's like they're little actors. That's how he imagines them in his mind.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Okay, no, this one's really good. Today I learned after the Beatles fired drummer Pete Best, that's very important to remember his name, Pete Best, in favor of Ringo Starr, he formed a new band and released the album Best of the Beatles, a play on his own name.
That's a great
This
name.
led to disappointment from fans who bought the album without reading the track listing.
That's so clever. Best of the Beatles. That's
Best
such a
of the
good,
Beatles.
such a good name. Oh, I hope he made a ton of money off that.
Isn't that great?
I hope he made a
Oh,
ton
I laughed
of
so hard when I
money.
saw it. I was like, what?
That's
Genius.
genius.
Genius. Dude.
Shower thought it?
Shower thought it. Time.
Shower thoughts.
I'll start it off.
Okay.
Light bulbs were such a good idea that they became a symbol for a good idea.
I like that. That's a good one. Okay. If we invented immortality. If we invented immortality or immorality.
Yeah.
If we invented immortality, people would probably have to go to school multiple times throughout their lives. Yeah, you would totally forget things.
You would not only forget, but like imagine
And
if
they
you
would
were alive
change.
for like 400 years and now you need to learn about the new computers.
Well, like we've said a couple times, like history class is getting harder every year.
Yeah.
Right?
But there'd be new trades. There's trades we haven't even thought of yet.
True. Very true. Yeah.
Putting dirty clothes on is so much more unbearable than keeping dirty clothes on.
Yes. It is. Well, okay, putting dirty underwear on.
Well, that's clothes. But like
Getting more
like a
specific.
dirty, gross shirt. Think of like a sweaty shirt that you have on and you take it off and you go to put it back on. You're like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Okay. There's a non-zero chance that the mosquito that just bit you will get trapped in amber and some future civilization will extract your blood and clone you. That's crazy. So that means it could happen.
I mean, yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
That'd be
It
kinda
could
cool.
be you.
I'd be
You
down.
could represent everyone
I'd
just
be
like
down.
the T-Rex and ruin it for
I'd be down.
everybody.
I pulled the Tom Cruise. What was that movie that he was in?
Top Gun.
No. The one where he was like a clone.
Mission Impossible.
He was a clone. Shut up. He was a clone. What was that? That was a great movie.
Jerry Maguire.
No. It was a vampire one. No. There was a movie. Okay.
Tropic Thunder.
Oh, he was not. He wasn't Tropic Thunder.
I knew I'd get you with that one. Days of Thunder.
Not Ad Astra.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's a movie Tom Cruise was in, and he was a clone. It was a sci-fi movie.
Are you thinking of Replicates? Because that wasn't Tom
No.
Cruise.
No. Oh my gosh, this is gonna kill me. I have to look this up. You can keep telling the.
Okay, here's the next one. Scarecrows work on humans if you make them creepy enough.
That's true. This is going to kill me. What was that movie, Tommy boy? Oblivion.
Oh, yeah. That's true, Oblivion.
Yeah, he was a clone.
Yeah,
That was a great movie.
I like that movie. I love his ship when he fell off the edge.
I should watch
I'm going to read the last one to
Okay,
you.
go for it.
Last one is this. That sharp pain you randomly feel in your organs could be you in a parallel world getting shot.
And that's your that's your quantum entangled particle from the other universe or something
It's like,
like
whoop.
that. That's
We
hilarious.
just got shot.
That's hilarious. Dude, this was fun doing it in the studio, man.
I know. I almost forgot what it was like.
And for those of you that are wondering, because probably a lot of you are, what Tom Cruise's net worth is, since we were on the subject of Tom Cruise,
Also, why does Jordan know so many movies that Tom Cruise is in?
I just looked it up. So apparently, Tom Cruise's net worth is $570 million.
That's just a couple pennies.
And guess who what? That doesn't make sense.
The most rich actor?
Yeah. Oh, wow. So, okay, maybe it does. The richest actor in the world?
Yeah.
I would never have guessed this.
Wait.
Yeah.
It's not
That's
Angelina
fascinating
Jolie.
to me. No, it's a guy.
It's a guy.
It's a guy. Yep, sure is. The richest actor in the world. This is mind-boggling.
It's going to be someone super smart.
His name is Shah Rukh Khan.
Oh, is he from India?
He's a Bollywood. King
Yeah,
of
that
Bollywood
makes
is what he's
sense.
known as. With over 80 films under his belt, Shah Rukh Khan from New Delhi is the richest actor in the world with an estimated net worth of $600 million.
That doesn't shock me. Bollywood's huge. I mean, it's bigger than our Hollywood.
Well, because they have, what do they have, 1 billion people, right?
Too many.
So that's more, it's more than twice.
I mean, not that I don't value them.
3
There's
times
just a
our
lot
population.
more of them than there are here for our
It's
Hollywood.
fascinating. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening to us, and hopefully you all have a fantastic week. We'll come talking to you soon next week. Peace out,
boop.
peeps.
See you guys. 65 in the bag.
Bye.
Bye.